Is the ROI calculator dead? And how are people now figuring out ROI? What do they trust?
Yeah. So I think ROI calculators work with a caveat. The caveat is I've never used one to purchase software in the past ever before, but I think of them as like a lead gen tool, especially if it's like publicly facing and someone can utilize it to like do some calculations on your website. People are always impressed by these things. But I think the thing that's never included in a ROI calculator is how many human beings are going to be associated with this project, what the cost of if you're ripping something out is gonna be, what the downtime, like the sort of digital transformation process in place around adoption and whatnot. So that's the hard part, is like, sure, this software costs this much, and we promise that we're going to give you a 30% increase in MQL to SQL, so you can then calculate the value based upon what your average deal size is or whatever. So there's a there to that. And I think in general, like if you're like a practitioner and you're sort of trying to get a contract up to a CFO and you've never done that before, that stuff can help the buyer make the case internally. And I think that that's often why a sales function would want the marketing team to build it. But like, if you're building one, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, this $20,000 contract, this thing's going to save you $500,000 a year. I mean, the value is just inherent. Like, need we say more? Let me issue you a contract immediately.
And you just went to the point that I was trying to make, is I don't think anybody believes them. And who believes something that was built by the company that's trying to sell you to begin with?
Yeah.
I
mean, Craig does, but other than Craig,
everybody but Craig.
Wait, what?
You believe in ROI calculators. You were telling me that. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about ROI calculators.
And then we're going to the rumor mill, just in case anybody cares.
Oh, geez. Judd, you've done an amazing job of finding gaps in the conversation and bringing questions. I'm going to give you credit for that.
Oh,
honestly, it was amazing. So first of all, are you serious, Matt? You think you're one of the best demand gen guys I know? You are. That's not to butter you up before I drop a bomb.
Yeah.
But like
but he's about to drop a bomb.
Well, because I've never seen Matt put an ROI calculator as a demand gen device as his like thing. I just thought I was surprised to hear that.
Well, I like them for demand.
I like them, but I don't use them.
There's a lot of things that I like that I don't build. I mean, this house, for example, it's a fine home, but I wasn't responsible for building it. But no,
but you live in it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But seriously, I'm going to start with that. I have more to it, but like, are you would recommend to someone, hey, dude, you should do an ROI calculator as an offer on your website?
Here's what I would say is, like, if you created one, it definitely wouldn't hurt you and it would draw people in. And like, especially if you're in a category that people don't understand the value around, it's an easy way for you to sort of say, great, we're building you this thing. It's helping you send more sales emails, or it's helping you attract more visitors to your website. Based upon what we think we can do for you, this is the expected ROI. And somebody who's probably mid to lower level can utilize that to go make a business case internally to buy something. Is it short-sighted? Of course. Is it cutting corners around what the real cost is? Yeah, of course. But it is a place where someone can have a conversation with your brand around the value without necessarily having to raise their hand and speak to a salesperson, which in general, people are almost always going to opt for.
Okay.
Got it. Craig, real quick though, because just a caveat there. So do you see it as top of funnel, mid funnel, or late funnel?
Late funnel.
Whoa.
I knew this was going to be an interesting one, because I think of it as like mid funnel. We got a late funnel and top of, and I think that's the interesting part of a calculator, right? You can use it how you want, but do you believe it? And that's where we've seen things like TI reports, go-to-market partners do one. There's a couple others. There's a lot of stuff coming out now where people are like, we will calculate it, and you have a third-party validated piece. Is it any different?
No, but well, first of all, in the research house sort of ROI pieces like go-to-market partners and the Forrester and whatnot, those do tell stories too. It reflects ROI, but it's in the form of a story and a use case. That's just a little bit different. But let me just go through. That was you threw me off a bit because I have the same. So one is, by the way, I'm going to start this with one of my favorite quotes. So years ago, before I started Topo, I was doing business with Lars Nilsson. We were like, just partnering up on consulting gigs, and we got pitched this like automated ROI thing, and I hadn't done a briefing with Lars yet, and I was surprised. The guy goes through the whole thing and goes, "Okay, your feedback," and Lars basically said, "This is terrible." But what he said was, so we both had done work years ago for this CRO who's like just old school, like incredible sound bites, often with profanity, insults, etc., just like dress you down type of guy. And he quoted him. I'm not going to put him in the podcast for now, but Lars will laugh when I say that, he used to say basically, if you're talking about ROI, you're not high enough in the organization. And so let me start there because that's partially true. The issue today is that the stakeholder map is much different than it was 2 years ago. You've got two things. Number one is the CFO and finance is like looking at $10,000 deals. Okay. And number two is you have shadow stakeholders all over the place. So like you just have to have tools that nullify their objections. Here's the issue. Number one is your ROI calculator is built for you to win, and they know that. So you guys, that's what you guys were saying before. Like for me, I tell salespeople, it's like, well, okay, hold on a sec. Like you sales will get really excited because someone's going to say, yes, I can't wait to buy. They say, well, whoa, like, is this going to go to finance? Is it great? What type of format, template, et cetera, do they want to see to get for payback? Let's use that one. Okay. So that's one thing. This is down the funnel, Judd, right? Down the funnel. If you don't have one, I have one, but let's go through it and make it as custom to you, because the other thing that happens, I think, with ROI models, you guys tell me this, but like, it's so inside baseball, you're going to lose with the finance guy anyway. So like, a lot of the stuff we build in the ivory tower, and it's like, it's like, whoa, like we have to win the deal. And as you guys know, sales reps are losing deals at the end now, a lot more than they ever did. And it's because of new stakeholders who need to see things. So I do think the ability to show payback under the methodology that's used by the organization, it's critical. Even if they don't ask for it, someone in the sales team should help push for it. Marketing can help build it. I mean, you built an amazing one for one of my portfolio companies, Matt. I would argue that was probably used probably across the sales cycle because it was handling objections up front, middle, and end. But when I looked at it, it was like it had all the elements that their finance team would be able to look at and go, yeah, these look right.
That's where I think an ROI calculator can be most impactful in terms of winning deals, is if you're deep into a sales cycle, you have a true understanding of what your customer is doing, what they need, what their current circumstances are, et cetera, and you can input all of that data into an ROI calculator. And in the case of that portfolio company, like, these were all critical pieces because, you're talking logistics, there's tons of moving parts, there's tons of static parts, there's human beings involved, et cetera. So getting to a real ROI, like on a static web page, is really, really challenging. Like, just nobody's inputting that much data into an ROI calculator. And so one, you can have like this kind of loose one on your website that, creates a little bit of engagement with your brand. But like, for somebody to truly transact, you're going to need to be deep in a cycle, have a ton of understanding of that business, and then be able to quantify all of that and then spit some number back out to them that seems realistic. And things like 400% ROI, just like, if I see that, I'm just like, absolutely not. There's 0% chance that that's happening. So the other thing I would suggest to people is like, we're marketers, we're hyperbolic by nature, but like, do not be hyperbolic with your ROI calculator. Like, if I'm seeing like 50, 60% ROI, I'm like, spectacular. 500%, anything with two zeros in the end, I'm like, that's not bullshit.
Okay. So hold on. So let me just add on. That was well said, although that's not what you said before. Said that. Huh?
What did I say?
You said it was a good demand gen.
Yes, because it brings people in. They're like, if I'm looking at two different businesses, like but I'm not going to buy because of that. I'm just getting understandably valued.
All right. It's just another great out. I get it. I shouldn't have brought that back up because I was convinced when you earlier.
Okay. So
wait, hold on. But the key here.
The key. Here we go.
We're going to have Matt Dixon on, who wrote Jolt Effect. And the whole book is essentially about the de-risking of the sales process. And what I would say, what Matt was describing is like a full life cycle de-risking, right? Because he was talking about, if you're fast, tell them you're fast. If it's not hard to integrate, tell them and so everything we do needs to be to de-risk right now because there's so much risk. Okay. So for example, the ROI papers that you talked about, Judd, put them on the list. Like, okay, like what is that checklist of things that tell the buyer and his organization or her organization that the least amount of risk is, to reflect the least amount of risk. So things like something that proves out in detail how a company like theirs got ROI is just another de-risk thing. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's really important, like as we talk about marketing and sales today, what's the number one thing that we need to do? We need to de-risk the living crap out of doing business with us.
Yeah.
And any type we see it, it's like that again, like Matt was saying, it's like you're fast or easy, tell them, make sure they know it, bang it on the drum and show it to them. Right. Like it's like, we're just trying to make sure that everything's getting de-risked down the line. I think like all of these topics coalesce, right? Like we have to be thinking about the life cycle and the areas where risk sort of pops its ugly head and what tools we can use in order to help there. So that's it. And I'm standing by it, and I will leave Matt alone on his ROI.
So here's a good question, right? We build all of our messaging, all of our programs around a persona or an ICP. Why, when they build an ROI calculator, do these things? Are they not specifically built for who you really need to sell to, which in most cases today are CFOs? Like they're dumbed down so that a different level person can understand them, but ultimately they're not really the user. They're not the person you're convincing. And I'm trying to figure out why everything else in business right now is moving towards persona, understanding pain, except we build products that are so wide and expansive that they don't make sense. So, yeah. And look, we can go to the product verse, blah, blah, but I feel like if you just look at go-to-market on a whole, that's a huge miss.
Bro, did you just say we can go to the product verse? What the hell was that? Actually, that would be a great movie poster for product people. I have a comment on that. By the way, so far so good, really good questions. Although what I would say here on this is you're right. I mean, I wasn't sure it was you know what I mean? Like it was almost a statement question. By the way, I love these anecdotes. All these anecdotes. My neighbor, Steve Stroud, he's like a CRO type. He was at ServiceNow for a long time, and he went to one of our dinners, Matt. I'm not sure you went to the one. It was in the city with the CROs, and everyone was talking about how the CFO and finance is in all our deals. And, he didn't really raise his hand, but when he was coming home in the Uber, he texted me, he goes, Craig, I just want you to know that for the lifetime of my selling, I always tell everyone that customer is the CFO. It's really interesting way to think about it.
Thanks for tuning in to GTM Unfiltered. To hear our innovative insights and strategies, visit gtmunfiltered.com. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Until next time.